Come on, hey now. That's what I'm talking about. Y'all ready to have a good time? You might as well put your wallets on the table right now, because we do know why we are here, and we are so happy that you are here. Hi, honey. Where's my sister? Hi, Javita. My sister Jearlyn Steele is here, by the way. Oscar nominated. She don't want me to tell you that. So are you ready, Laura Caviani? Here we go. Come on. Oh, let's see if you know this. I don't know why I love you like I do. After all these changes that you put me through, you stole my money and my Chevrolet. Haven't seen your hide or hair of you yet. I want to know, won't you tell me, am I in love to stay? Take me to the river and wash me down. Won't you cleanse my soul? Put my feet on the ground. Listen, I don't know why you treat me so bad. Look at all the things that you could have had. Love is a notion that I can't forget. My sweet 16, I'll never forget. I want to know, won't you tell me, love to stay? Yeah, oh yeah. Take me to the river and wash me down. Won't you cleanse my soul? Put my feet on the ground. Let's go to the bridge, Lord. Hold me, love me, tease me, squeeze me. Changes that you put me through. Love is a notion that I can't forget. My sweet 16, I will never forget. I want to know if y'all gonna sit down. I'm waiting for you and you and you and you. Oh, take me to the river, hey, 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 and wash me down. Won't you cleanse my soul? Put my feet on the ground. Y'all walking so slow and pretty. Break it down, honey. Are y'all gonna have a seat? Hello, family. Y'all gonna have a seat? Can you hear me? I mean, can y'all hear me? I know you can see me because you can't miss me on a bad day, y'all. Come on. Are you ready? It's time for us to have a great time. Let's take it to the end. 1, 2, take it to the river. Oh my goodness. I am a bit verklempt. That was great. I had a good time. Did you? All right then. Now that is just one of the many, many songs written about the river. In fact, I was quite amazed as I was searching to find songs about the river, written by various artists, in fact. So thank you to Laura Caviani on the piano. Also, my nephew, Kenyari Jackson, Javita's son, he had to leave quickly. Playing the cajon, we sure appreciate it. Well, welcome everyone. On behalf of friends of the Mississippi River and the river itself, I really sincerely welcome you tonight. We are here to celebrate the great river and support FMR's work to protect it. Now, indeed, it's a particularly special evening, isn't it? Considering that we are celebrating Friends of the Mississippi River's 25th anniversary. Wow. Now, to mark this special occasion, we'll be celebrating in many ways. The ways in which the river inspires, shining a spotlight on the connection between the river and our thriving arts community. Because of the mighty Mississippi is a muse for so many. There's creativity there, cultural expression there. Our program features tonight local acclaimed artists of various media who rely on our big river as a source of inspiration and rejuvenation. I myself, before I got married, used to go on a date and we'd sit until 5 in the morning on the river off of Summit. When you go to the end of Summit, you know what I'm talking about? And you sit on that cliff and overlook the Mississippi. I fell in love, y'all, on the Mississippi. And because so many who care for the river take strength and inspiration from place, we also want to honor the ground on which we now celebrate. The banks of the Mississippi River. They have historical and spiritual significance to Minnesota's native communities, and we're grateful for their generations of stewardship for this very special place. Now, before inviting our first artist to the stage, I want to recognize our generous sponsors without whom this event would not be possible. Endeavor, Big River Real Estate, Minnesota Native Landscapes, which, by the way, have donated these beautiful trees and bushes, shrubs. Ascent Private Capital Management of U.S. Bank, First Avenue, Fulton Beer, LL Bean, and Ron and Company. And finally, we really want to thank you. We thank you for not just being here, but for giving of your hearts and resources to protect our local treasure. And one of the great rivers of the world says thank you. But tonight, we have an incredible lineup of artists who have all been inspired by this river. So coming to the stage is a prolific and acclaimed author, poet, and spoken word artist who has been referred to as the Bard of Vietnamese America. I like it. Bao Phi is his name. Was only 3 months old when his family fled Saigon and the Vietnam War to settle in the United States and eventually Minnesota. The word for river in Vietnamese is song. That has always struck Bao as beautiful. Song not only graced the title of his first published poetry collection, it is also the name he gave his daughter. He is a 2-time Minnesota Grand Slam champion and a National Poetry Slam finalist. He was named Best Author 2016 by Minneapolis Monthly and Artist of the Year and Author of the Year by City Pages in 2017 and 2018. Spurred by the desire to see greater diversity in children's literature and inspired by fishing trips he would take with his father as a child, Bao authored A Different Pond is his name, A Different Pond, his first children's book, and a 2018 Caldecott Medal winner. Please welcome to the stage, Bao Phi.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. And thank you, Friends of the Mississippi, for inviting me to your birthday party. It's great to be here. I just have 2 short poems to read to you today, and I'll get out of your way. Both poems are about, oh, sorry, is that me? Check 1. It's probably me. I'm always messing things up. Both poems have to do with water. And the first poem is about the ocean. I'm a refugee from Vietnam. You got a little bit of that. I was watching a nature documentary about 6 months ago. And in that documentary, they talked about a shipping container of bath toys that had made in China, washed off of one of those giant boats. And those rubber duckies floated for 15 years. And they started popping up on shores everywhere. And you know, of course, as a poet, my mind was blown, right? I was like, what does this mean? And I had to do all this research, and I went to see if it was really true. It totally is true. And I wrote this poem about it. This is called Adrift. Let's go ahead and assume this rubber ducky is yellow. What little science I know, its plastic skin invincible against salt water, but not the sun. We can only ask so much. Will it fade or brown? What I mean to say is I would want one of these for my daughter. Its internal clock set to the mercy of the currents that have been predictable for centuries. But mercy is not the word anyone would choose. Sometimes not making sense and floating are the same. Each wave is its own beginning and ending. Through international waters, you could have caused an incident. No one knowing you, never reaching the hands that hoped for you, rough immigrant or free refugee, floating flagless, fading border, stamped with words, but not your name. Thank you. And this last poem I'm going to read is about the Mississippi. I remember learning how to spell the Mississippi by rote in grade school and repeating that rhythm until it drove my teacher crazy because I was so proud of it. And now I have a daughter here whose name's Song, and Song in Vietnamese means river. And the last part of it about floating on the Mississippi, actually, Whitney Clark of the Friends of the Mississippi took my daughter and I on a canoe on the Mississippi for the first time just a few weeks ago. So that's the reference. This is a brand new poem. M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P-I. M-I-S-S-I-S-S-I-P-P-I. M-S-I-S-S-I. Okay, Bao, the elementary teacher roared, and my delight at the staccato flow of the letters evaporated. This was over 30 years ago. I don't hold her ghost to grudge. How many times have I sat above that water, walked beside it, wondered about its history, all the while taking for granted I could spell its name. The first time I saw its tail was after Katrina, the wide water in New Orleans, the houses drowned, and yet Vietnamese ate trays of boiled crawdad, tipping skinny neck bottles of Tabasco, squeezed lemon slices over them until they bled out. Somewhere, some river is always running, and who chooses to run beside what river in what country, and who gets sent down them. Me and my teenage friends, we found a rotted railroad bridge, climbed over its barriers, the no trespassing sign, sat, our legs dangling over, but hugging the round cylinder iron guardrails, laughing with one another as the brown and white foam curled far beneath us. For many years, I thought if I ever had a child, I would name them Song, river. But in my language, which makes the word sound like a song, so I did, and she does, sound like a song. Just this past year, I learned of Bidote, the concentration camps, now a green field. In a canoe, my daughter and a teacher slowly sliced our way across its green-gray skin. We three, floating in history, water to some, blood to others, a part of everything, but belonging to no one. Thank you so much. Have a good night.
That beautiful? Wasn't that beautiful? It's amazing when an artist comes to the microphone. It kind of arrests us in our seats and in our moments. This song arrested me. It's by Garth Brooks. Never thought I'd fall in love with Garth Brooks. But this one is about the river. You know a dream is like a river, ever changing as it flows. And a dream is just a vessel that must follow where it goes, trying to learn from what's behind you, never knowing what's in store, makes each day a constant battle just to stay between the shores. And I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky. I'll never reach my destination if I never try. I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. Too many times we stand aside and let the water slip away, till what we put off till tomorrow has now become today. So don't you sit upon the shoreline and say you're satisfied. Choose to chance the rapids and dare to dance the tide. Yes, I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky. I'll never reach my destination if I never try. I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry. There's bound to be rough waters, and I know I'll take some falls, but with the good Lord as my captain, I can make it through them all. Oh, I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, like a bird upon the wind. These waters are my sky. I'll never reach my destination if I never try. I will sail my vessel till the river runs dry, till the river runs dry. Well, this evening's keynote storyteller is an artist whose work spans 5 decades and numerous mediums and has become an indelible part of Minnesota's cultural landscape. Seitu Jones may be best known for creating more than 30 large-scale public artworks that draw interest and awe throughout our community. I'm sure many of you have seen his work. From the Metro Green Line to Nicollet Mall, thousands of Twin Cities residents and visitors experience Seitu's art each day. He also played an integral role in the establishment of St. Paul's Frogtown Park and Farm, a natural area and organic urban demonstration farm in the heart of the vibrant and diverse Frogtown neighborhood where I used to live. Bought my first house over there at 21 years old. A native of South Minneapolis, Seitu has had a close connection to nature and the river flowing through our community since a young age. Tonight, he will share with us the story of his family's longtime connection to the Big River. Please welcome to the stage, Seitu Jones.
Thank you so much. The river is flowing, growing. The river is flowing down to the sea. Oh, river, carry me. your child I will always be. River, carry me down to the sea. Those are the words of my dear friend and sometimes collaborator, Sandy Spieler, who will present us with this grand experience at the end of this program with this fantastic ceremony. Sitting back here, sitting right here in that chair, and listening to Jearlyn sing and holding my sermon here in my hand, I felt like the visiting preacher as she took us all to church here. So what I'm going to do is to tell you my story and my relationship to Mother Earth. And so this is really a love story. But before I begin, I need to perform a little ceremony as well, too. I need to pour libation. Before I began taking my first sips of wine out of a bottle in a paper bag with all of my homies, we would always pour a little bit of that wine or beer on the ground. We would pour it for the brothers who ain't here. Little did I know that that was one of these Africanisms that went all the way, there was this line that took us all the way back to Africa. Through oppression, through enslavement. It was one of the ways that we could celebrate our ancestors. On my first trip to West Africa in 1974, I was a part of several ceremonies where people very formally pour libation for the ancestors. So I'm going to pour libation. And so today, I pour libation for the people who came before us. To the Ojibwe, to the Dakota, the original stewards of this water and this land. To all of those folks who came before me, all of my ancestors, who came here for a better life. I pour libation and say, Ashe. I pour libation for those of us who are here today so that we may move easily into the next phase of our lives that are drenched in the water of social justice. I pour libation and say Ashe. And then this is for all of the young folks out here so that they will have the courage and the fortitude and the persistence to weather the storm of challenges that I can guarantee you are all laying before you. I say Ashe. So, why am I here? Why is an artist here? Whitney used the same technique on me that he used on Bao. We were fishing at the beginning of this spring and standing in our waders in this cold water right at the beginning of the season, right in the Kinnickinnic River and these fantastic surroundings in this great watershed. I mean, how could I tell him no? And so from that time, and then I really owe Whitney, too. Whitney showed me 2 secret spots along the Kinnickinnic. And so that's why I'm here. But why did he ask a group of artists to present? Why me, someone who renders his world in clay and wood and steel? So I dug and I found these quotes from Harry Belafonte. Brother Belafonte describes himself not as an artist who turns activist, but as an activist who turned artist, who started using song to point the way forward. Harry Belafonte said that artists are the gatekeepers of truth. It's our mission to inscribe history. Artists are the carriers of history. Artists created the paintings on the cave walls, inscribed the words of the Quran, of the Bible, of the Torah. And just listening to Jearlyn here again and the fabulous Steele family, we know them. Harry Belafonte said, we were also the ones that created the songs that helped lifted us up. I have always felt that artists can help frame a new world. With the birth of my grandkids, my family has been in Minnesota for 6 generations. And that all started with Joseph Parker, who came up the Mississippi, landing in Red Wing, Minnesota, and worked as a porter at the St. James Hotel that still stands today in 1877. He was born in slavery, was a corporal in the Civil War, and came upriver. Now, he earned enough money there to start a farm in Rochester. My grandmother's family, my great-grandfather was the first African-American family to live in Rochester. My grandmother, who I knew, it's hard to believe, was the daughter of a man who was held in enslavement. I mean, that blows my mind to this day. I mean, at that time, she was just grandma. And 100 years ago, she and my grandfather, Joseph Robert Jones, Ada Emmeline Parker, started a family, raised 7 kids. So I was born in the middle of the last century into this big, loving, extended family of postal workers, clerks, sleeping car porters, steel workers, artists, and teachers. They all knew that if my generation was to succeed, we would have to be given the tools to dodge the many potholes of the roads that we would walk. So they told us over and over and over again how smart we were. They did that to the point where some of us actually started to believe it. So they knew that belief in ourselves is the primary tool that we would have to use to overcome adversity. Through love, they taught us how to love ourselves and each other as friends and family. It was my Aunt Beverly that recognized this love that I have from nature when I would take apart flowers, catch insects, and all kind of other creatures. And she started calling me Little George Washington Carver. Now, George Washington Carver died a few years before I was born, but of course, with his stature, I knew who he was. And I thought, why would I want to be like that bald-headed old man? And here I am, that bald-headed old man. Now, little did I know, but my Aunt Beverly knew that George Washington Carver began this study of botany with painting. He was a painter, and it was one of his instructors that said, look, you should study plants, and the rest is history. That was one of the resonating factors of my life. Now, in addition to my Aunt Beverly, who introduced me in a real formal way to nature, my father, my uncles, my grandfather, who we all called Pop, were these crazy, mad Minnesota fishermen. So almost every weekend we were out in boats in Minnesota lakes and Minnesota waters. Now, we at that time were too poor to own our own boat. And so we would go to the lakes where we'd have to rent a boat and use what my father described as the Armstrong motor to get around the lake, because we didn't have enough to even rent the motor. But amongst this big family, there was one outboard, and Pop owned the outboard. It was this green Johnson that had the streamlined shape, and you'd look at that, and I looked at it at least and thought, man, we're gonna be able to cruise in that thing. And we were. We could cruise across the lake in no time, but that meant And Pop did not let it out of his sight. Pop kept it in the basement and kept it in his basement on Fuller Avenue. And that was, and so if you had that motor, we had Pop. And so Pop, while we were in the boat, I say we, my cousins and I, were in that boat, Pop regaled us with all kind of fishing tales. He told us about the time he caught 2 crappies on 1 hook. He told us about how he could use his fingers, how he was trained to use his fingers as bait and could stick them in the water, wiggling them, and then catch a bass just with his hands. But the story that really got me, and this is the story that my father and uncles would kind of roll their eyes, and I caught that, but still was enthralled with this story. It was a time Pop told us about how he caught a gull. And he was casting out and with a minnow on the hook, and the gull saw the minnow, came down, scooped up the minnow in midair, and was hooked. And he said that was the biggest fight he ever had in a boat, was reeling that gull in as it was flapping back and forth. And he said, and you know, I took that gull home to your grandma, and she cooked it up, and you had it last week. and of course, I hung on every word there. And one time, one of the most powerful statements he laid on me was one time I was complaining about how we didn't catch any fish. And Pop said, you think we go fishing just to catch fish? And my little mind had to wrap itself around that statement. What did that mean? We go fishing to catch fish. But as I grew and matured in my teen years, in my early 20s, I moved away from fishing. Going away to Morehouse College in Atlanta, I participated in a number of protests, marches, and rallies led by some of Martin Luther King's lieutenants, Jesse Jackson, Hosea Williams, and Ralph Abernathy. They were so driven and so passionate. It wasn't even a year after Martin Luther King's death, and I went to school a long time ago, that I was walking with these men and realized how powerful was the love that they had for Martin. They were working to right injustice, but also inspired not by the death of Martin, but by the life and the love of Martin. These men of the South had this great love of community, and it was from them that I learned the love of community and learned how to tell someone outside my family how much I loved them. This was an illustration of the type of love that the ancient Greek called agape, which is the love that all of us should have and extend for all of humankind. The love that demands that we restore our waters, restore nature, and build community. I matured in this rich mix of politics, culture, and conflict of the love of the 1960s and 70s. I was influenced by the civil rights movement and got swept up in the black arts movement, which was the cultural arm of the Black Power movement. Democracy in America and in this world is still an evolving concept. And during these times, I dedicated my energy and my art to creating posters for protests, for rallies, to designing theater sets and creating murals for the cause. Flirting with cultural nationalism and Marxism, I learned a great deal about political thought, but have forgotten most of it. But with all of my philosophical flirting, the one thing that remains with me is that we should leave our communities more beautiful than we found them. That is the tenet, that is the foundation of my work. So for 11 years I lived in Lower Town, 1 block away from the Mississippi River. I ran almost every day and ran on both sides of the river in both directions. I could sit here and tell you all kinds of stories of my encounters and adventures along the river. And it was then, in one of those times, one of those runs, that Pop's words came back to me. That you think we go fishing just to catch fish? I knew that we were out there, realized, even during that time, even though I couldn't put words to it, it was just good to be in the fellowship of these other folks, of families, of folks that I loved. It was good to be in the realm of Mother Nature, of Mother Earth. So I currently live about 3 miles away from the river. I live in Frogtown right now, and unfortunately we can describe Frogtown by all of the pathologies. And I choose not to do that. I want to look at its assets, look at all the many things. But my neighbors and I will cross the river 2 times, 4 times, sometimes 6 times a day without even looking down. I know all of you all do that as well too, let alone going down to the river. So I thought, how can I share my love of the river with my neighbors? And then it hit me. And like Noah, I thought, I'm gonna build me an ark. And I was fortunate to apply for and receive a grant from Forecast Public Art. It's called the Project Grant, funded by McKnight Foundation, one of my grand patrons, and I need to give a big shout out to Kate, who's right here. But I received this grant to build a boat called the Art Ark. This floating sculpture that was only supposed to take a year of my life is now into its 4th year, and it still ain't done. But now that this is going to be one of the auction items, I got to finish it. It has to be done. And so this floating sculpture will be used to really test and create a baseline study using science and knowledge from my neighborhood, and most importantly, place my neighbors maybe 4 or 5 at a time on the river so that they can enjoy and be a part of this wonderful splendor. Now, I'm going to finish by talking about love. The love of self, the love of family, the love of community, and the love of this earth. And describe what Martin Luther King talked about in one of the many ways he talked about love. He talked about love and power, and had described how our philosophers got it wrong. And some of our cultural critics got it wrong when they were describing power. Power isn't a bad word. Power is the ability to change. But unfortunately, power without love is reckless and abusive. And unfortunately, we see that today in our federal government. And power and love without power is anemic. You have to have these 2 things together. And so what I'm asking you all to do while we're here today is to join me on the river. And you don't have to necessarily do it on my boat, but you need to take folks down to the river. You need to commit yourself to doing that. We all need to transform this river and transform the world by doing that. So I ask you to join with me and to join with Friends of the Mississippi and remember, Pop, that we don't have to go fishing just to catch fish. We need to catch a new wave and to catch a new way of thinking. So thank you all. Thanks.
Wow. Self, family, community, and world. We are to love self, family, community, and world, but not fishing, because that's not going to happen for me. But I do love that man. Can you give it up again for Seitu Jones? Well, now it's time. I am pleased to introduce to you Dan Meslowski of Flatabo Auctions. Dan has been labeled the most energetic auctioneer in the Midwest for the past 19 years. You better live up to it tonight, Dan. He is a teacher by profession. He has been active in the parks and recreation field and dedicates his life to his 3 wonderful children. Please welcome Dan Meslowski.
Well, hello. I am going to come right out here with you. And you know, I love the word love. And I was so impressed the way it was used tonight. And I get an opportunity to travel all over the United States doing auctions. And I'm on a personal mission myself. Because we do not tell the people we love that we love them enough. So I want you to turn to the person that you came with. I want you to look them in the eyes. And I want you to tell them you love them. Look at that. These guys are all, look at that hug. I love it. That gentleman over there is kissing his wife. That is awesome. Now, I need you to turn to the person on the other side of you. I want you to look him in the eyes, extend your hand, and tell him, you know what, you're pretty okay yourself. Folks, I am a teacher by day, an auctioneer by night. I teach K through 5 physical education. I may jump on a few tables, stand on a few chairs, but we all have our first calisthenic right now. How many people remember that word, calisthenic? Oh, I hate that word. Our first exercise. I want you to pick up your bid number. I want you to wave it around. Fan that hot date you came with, of course. Okay, that always makes them feel good. Fan them. We've got 5 great items. Our first item tonight is...
Okay, here we go. Downtown Minneapolis Riverfront and St. Anthony Falls Lock Tour. Together with nine of your closest friends, join our team of local experts from Minnesota Historical Society, as well as a noted river historian, for a 3-hour walking tour of downtown Riverfront, and you will get your 10,000 steps in, period. You'll learn the history of our great city and river and gain access to the significant sites not open to the public, like the St. Anthony Falls Lock and the underground water power system of the storied Pillsbury A Mill. The day ends with a meal using a $250 gift card from the iconic Minneapolis eatery Spoon River. Dan?
All right, let's have some fun. We're going to start out nice and low. We're going to work our way up, and we're going to have some fun. Who's going to give me the first $500? 5, thank you, now. 750 goes 750. 750, thank you, 1,000, now 1,250. 1,250 go 1,250. Anybody else at 1,250? I've got 1,000 right here in my front row, now 1,250. 1,250 go 1,250. Anybody else at 1,250? Hurry, hurry, now 1,250. 1,000's been bid, now 1,250. How about the people in the back row? 1,250. 1,250 go 1,250. Anybody else at 1,250? 1,000's looking pretty good, isn't it? Now 1,250. 1,250 go 1,250. Anybody else at 1,250 going once? 1,250 going twice. Anybody? 1,250? And we got $1,250. It's just in time. Nice job. Now $1,500. 15, would you go 15 one more time? 15. 15, would you go? Don't give up so easy. We're having fun here. Now 15. Let's give it one more time. 15, anybody else at 15? 15, would you go 15, anybody else at 15? Talk him into it. Say it's a goodbye. 1,500. 15, would you go 15, anybody else at 15? He says he's got to talk amongst the family. And we've got the 1,500, now 1,750. 1,750 goes 1,750. Keep it rolling now, 1,750. Anybody else at 1,750? Going once, going twice. We'll give you the same time, 1,750. 1,750 goes 1,750. One more time, 1,750. Why can't I get my classroom like this? This is nice and quiet. I love it. I've got $1,500 right here. Let's give him a big round of applause. And he bought it, number 284. 284.
That was generously donated by Mill City Museum, Minnesota Historical Society, and a notable river historian and Spoon River. Congratulations, sir. All right, number 2, river-friendly home and garden package. So you want to do good for the river, right? You can with this package of river-friendly home and garden items like a beautiful aged wine barrel. I'd rather have the wine in it, but you can have it converted to a rain barrel to keep your garden green and water consumption low. You can welcome birds and bees to your yard with a custom designed and installed native pollinator garden from Minnesota Native Landscapes, who gave us the shrubs and the trees. And this item includes all aspects of a native planting bed installation, site preparation, mulch, a custom design layout, and a variety of native plants, up to 300 square feet, by the way. To round out this package, we're also offering a pair of LL Bean's classic duck boots. And if you can make that look good, you got something going on. To ensure that you're properly outfitted to steward your garden, you are going to get all of this. And Dan, it is now your turn, darling. By the way, you don't have to just get this for you and your garden. You can get it and gift it to someone who would love it as well.
That's right. You can definitely buy it for yourself, put it in your backyard, put it in your front yard, put it at the cabin, or you can also do a lot of opportunities to give to the park system. You can also do rain gardens or whatever you want to do. Here's your opportunity, a nice item, well over a $5,000 item. Who's going to give me $1,000 where? Looking out here for 1,000, I got 1,000, now 15, 15, now 2,000. 2,000, would you go 2,000? Anybody else at 2,000? Keep it going now, 2,000. 1,500 now, 2,2, anywhere at 2,000. 2,000, would you go 2,2, anywhere at 2,000. 1,500 now, 2,000, would you go 2,000. Take a look here now, 2,000, anybody else at 2,000? 2,000, I got 2,000. I took it right there, ma'am, 2,000. How about 25? 25, she said yes. Give her a big round of applause. 25, now 3. You're both out now, 3,000. 3,000, would you go 3,000 one more time? 3,000. Come on in, 3,000. Hey, we got 3,000. And 3,500. 35, would you go 35, 35, 35. Anybody else at 35? 35, here comes the hand up, 35. 35, would you go 35? Anybody else at 35? I've got 3,000, now 35, going once. 35. Oh, we got a staring contest across the table. 35. 35, would you go 35, ma'am? Smiling, same as bidding. Did you know that? Now 35. 35, would you go 35? Anybody else at 35? How about 32.50? 32.50, go 32.50. Anybody else at 32.50? Does that tickle you, ma'am? 32.50? He says yes, 32.50. 32.50, go 32.50. And I sold it right here for $3,000. Let's give him a big round of applause. And your number today is number 223. Let's give our backup bidder a huge round of applause. She just helped us raise a lot of money. Thank you, ma'am.
That was generously donated by Minnesota Native Landscapes, Mother Earth Gardens, and LL Bean. Number 3, a 1-week stay at a Grand Northwoods cabin. Now you can spend a week at this relaxing, beautiful place that seats a whole lot of people. This is 4.5 acres with 350 feet of shoreline. And this secluded retreat is on Long Lake number 2 in Bacchus, Minnesota, between Brainerd and Walker, just 3 hours north of the Twin Cities. Now, I can go on and talk about the 8 bedrooms and the 4 bathrooms that sleep about 20, but we no need to say that. Bottom line, we got to get all the way down here to the sauna. It's an in-house sauna. Okay, ladies, can we talk? Talk to whomever you need to talk to get on board for this one. It has several decks and a lakeside pick, but it has an in-house sauna, y'all. Okay, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Go for it.
All right, and it's got the canoe for the guy. All right, here's your opportunity. Let's raise well over $5,000. We're gonna start out nice and low. Who's got $1,000 where? 1,000, would you go 1,000? Jump on in here now, 1,000. Here's an opportunity. 20 people can stay here now, $1,000. Look in here, I got 1,000. Thank you now, 1,500. 15, would you go 15? Anybody else at 15? 1,000, been bid now, 15, 15. Thank you now, 2,000. 2,000, would you go 2,000? Keep it going now, 2,000. 2,000, we do 15 back there now. I've got 2,000 right here now, 25. 25, would you go 25? Would you go 25? Hurry, hurry now, 25. 25, yes. Right up here now, 3,000. 3,000, would you go 3,000? Keep it rolling now, 3,000. 25 now, 3,300, would you go 3,000? How about 2,750? 2,750 now, 3,000. 3,000, would you go 3,000? 3,300, would you go 3,300? Anybody else at 3,000? 2,750 now, 3. 27 now, 3,300, would you go 3,000? Have a table conference. We can work on this now, 3,000. 2,750. 2,750 is looking good now, 3,000. How many bedrooms?
Okay, it is 8 bedrooms, 4 bath. It sleeps 20. Wait a minute. Okay, let me get down here. You can have easy access to the lake. The use of a canoe. Come on.
And the sauna.
And an in-house sauna.
And
right?
3,000. 3,000, would you go 3,000? Hurry now, 3,000. 2,750 now, 3. How about in the back row, 3,000? 27,300, would you go 3,000? Going once, going twice. Hurry, hurry, 2,750. He's in at 2,750. Sir, guess what? It happened last time. But I'm not asking for $10,000, am I? I've got 2 of them. You want the other one at 2,750? Help a great cause? Oh, yeah, that's right. Did your brother buy an item? Brother. All right. I sold this one for $2,750 to number 412. Let's give him a big round of applause. Sir, last time I'm going to ask, are you interested? Going once, going twice. Moving on.
All right. That was generously donated by Julia and Wade Burgess. Thank you. You know, if you need somebody to go on that trip with you, just let me know. Guided fly fishing excursion is a sustainable fish package. If you love fishing and eating fish, this package is for you. The winning bidder and a guest will enjoy a day of guided fly fishing on the Root River in southeast Minnesota near Lanesboro, and a catered lunch with Monta Hayner, fly fishing instructor and former chair of the Fly Fishing Women of Minnesota. I didn't know there were fly fishing women of Minnesota. We have learned something tonight. In addition, you'll receive a fall seafood sampler share from Sitka Salmon Shares, a community-supported fishery that allows its members to purchase a share of the harvest of one of its independent small boat family fishermen. And finally, to ensure all of your outdoor adventures are properly geared, you'll also receive a variety of Patagonia products. Ooh, that's exciting. Dan?
This is for you and your guest right here. Opportunity, do some fly fishing. Who's going to give me $1,000? We're going to go up. 1,000, would you go 1,000? Anybody 1,000? I got 1,000 back there. Now 1,250. 1,250, go 1,250. Anybody else at 1,250? 1,000 in the back now, 1,250. 1,250, go 1,250. Anybody else at 1,250? $1,000 in the back now, 1,250. Who's interested? 1,250. Keep it rolling now, 1,250. 1,000's been bid now, 1,250. It's looking pretty good back there now, 1,000. 1,250. Oh, just like that, 1,250. Now 1,500. 1,500, would you go 15? Anybody else at 50? Keep it rolling now, 15. I've got 1,250 now, 15. Anybody else at 15? 15, 15, going once. How about 1,300? This is lucky, 1,300. 13, would you go 13? 1,250 now, 13, 13, would you go 1,300? 13, would you go 13? Anybody else at 13? 13, now 14. 14, 14, now 15. Back to you, ma'am, now 15. 15, would you go 15? Anybody else at 15? Hurry, hurry, now 15. 14 behind you, now 15. 14, now 15. It's okay, ma'am. It's okay, 15. 15, would you go 15? Anybody else at 15? He said, go ahead. Now 15. 15, would you go 15? Anybody else at 15? Going once, 1,500. See, he said, go ahead, 15. 15, would you go 15? Anybody else at 15? Going once, going twice. And I sold it right here for $1,400. Number 170. Number 170.
that was generously donated by Montahaner, Sitka Salmon Shares, and Patagonia. Number 5, Mississippi River Excursion Abroad, the Art Arc with Seitu Jones. Is someone saying something? No? Upon being awarded the McKnight Foundation's Forecast Public Art Grant, Seitu Jones set out to create the Art Arc. Say that 3 times in a row. A floating sculptural installation and water quality research vessel, as you heard him talk about. On board, you will be given lunch. Lunch will be provided, and it's to be scheduled, by the way, by a mutually agreed upon date during the summer of 2019. Dan?
Don't you think we should bring him down here? Let's bring him out here. Seitu, come on over. Where's he at? There he is. Come on over here. Now we haven't talked, have we?
No, and I can't talk as fast as you.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I was impressed.
Thank you.
And we've got a heck of an item here for yours. Okay? So I'm going to teach you how to ring because in order to be a good auctioneer, we got to have someone that's got all that energy that's going to take some bids. So when you see a bid out there and a hand goes up, okay, I want you to give a big yeah.
All right. And point them out?
And point them out, exactly.
Okay,
all right, one time to practice. Ready?
Yay!
Oh, he's got it, huh? He's got it. All right. Now, we're going to start out nice and low. Are you ready for this?
Okay.
All right, who's got $500? 500.
Okay.
Do you see the hands go up there?
Hey!
All right. Now
Hey!
750, 750. Yeah. Now 1,000, 1,000. Yeah. Now 1250. Now 15. 15. When you go 15, anybody else at 15? 1250 right behind you. Now 15, ma'am. 15.
Hey!
You're doing ours.
Hey!
And 1750. Now 2,000. 2,000. When you go 2,000. 2,000. When you go 2,000. Anybody 2,000. 2,000. There are no friends at the table. I'm sorry. 1750. Now 2,000. 2,000. When you go 2,000.
You know,
Hey!
It was right next to you. That's 2,000. Come on. Now 2250.
Hey, thank you.
2250. We got to go back
Whoa!
to 2250.
Whoa!
Now 25. 25 when you go 25. Anybody 25. 25 when you go 25. Get them in. Now you got to talk. Use that big smile of yours. 25. 25 when you go 25. 25 when you go 25. 2250 now 25. 2250.
Whoa!
Ma'am,
Hey!
ma'am, you're already in at 2250.
Hey!
I'll take 25. Now 2750. 2750 go 2750. She wants to keep going. Now 2750. 2750 go 2750.
Whoa! All right! Hey!
Whoa! 2750. Now 3,000, ma'am. Keep it rolling. Now 3,300. Would you go 3,000? You're out now 3,000. We're having so much fun. Now 3,000. 3,000. Now 3250. 3250. 3250.
Oh, no.
3250, right? 3250. I've got 3,000 now. 3250 going once. 3250 going twice. Now you got to pause.
Hey!
I bet you're going to be fun, aren't you?
Well, see, I have the easy lines.
That's right. I've got 3,000 now. 3250 going once. 3250 going twice. And I sold it. Come on over and give her a big hug.
Hey!
For $3,000.
Hey.
Number 207.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Thank you. All right, we'll connect. Takes 4 to 5.
And of
folks.
course, that was generously donated. And he will be on the boat as well with his guest, Seitu Jones.
Hey! Thank you, man. Thanks.
Thank you, Dan. And thanks to all who won something special. Dan, do you want to say anything before we let you go? No? Well, it really was a pleasure, sir. Thank you. Come over to our house, our house, our house. house. Come over to our house, it's story time. Come over to our house, our house, our house. Come over to our house, it's story time. The next featured artist tonight works in fiber and words. Gwen Westerman is a Dakota educator and speaker of the Dakota languages. She holds a PhD in English and is a distinguished faculty scholar at Minnesota State University. Gwen's roots are deep in the landscape of the tall grass prairie and reveal themselves in her fiber art and writing through the languages and traditions of her family. Her quilts have won countless awards and reside in the permanent collections of several art institutions. Her writings have appeared in numerous poetry anthologies, and she is a 2013 Minnesota Book Awards winner for her co-authored telling of the history of the Dakota people in their traditional homelands. Please welcome to the stage, Gwen Westerman.
Ready to go? Okay. That was pretty exciting. I'm not sure how to follow that, but I'm very honored to be here and be part of this special event. Although I didn't get a fishing trip. Whitney. I never learned to clean fish. That was purposeful. I stand here today, a Dakota woman in the 21st century. By all rights, I should not be here. We have survived storm, prairie fires, wars, declarations from Alexander Ramsey that we should be exterminated or driven forever beyond the borders of this state. But I stand here today as a Dakota woman. De Wakpa Odowa, song for the Mississippi River. Long before Louisiana woman, Mississippi man, before Old Man River, before wade in the water, long before Schoolcraft and Ver Itaskaput, before Father Hennepin and St. Anthony, before Mississippi, long before Hernando de Soto. O Tokahea, in the beginning, de Dakota Makoche. This was a Dakota place. The water was pure. The water was wakan, sacred. Mini pejuta tokahea hecha. Water was, water is our first medicine. The water was part of the land and therefore part of the people. And in this place, we flourished. From Badote, where the Minnesota Wakpa joins Wakpa Tonka, we followed the rivers, interconnected waterways, interconnected lifeways. Itokagata, southward, to Chemenicha, and Bede Ishtamani, the lake of tears. Waziata, northward, The big river took us to Owamini Omini, the whirlpool created by Wakpa, the curling waters of the falls. We knew the rivers rise and fall, channels and gorges, every meander, every floodplain, from Bede-Wakan to Miniti, Mille Lacs to the Lake of the Woods, Rainy River to Thunder Bay, where our burial mounds remain. Wiochpeata, westward to Saskatchewan, the head of the Churchill River, along the Ballantine River, named Puatsipi by the Cree, which means Dakota River. To Bedote, the beginning of the Mississippi of the North and the Little Minnesota. These were our waterways, our lifeways, our medicine. And we too want to sing a song for the water, a song for Wakpa Tonka. So we listen. We listen. Listen. And then on the edge of a dream, the songs come, condensed from the fog like dewdrops on cattails. They form perfectly clear. Whispering through leaves, heavy voices rise up, drift beyond night toward the silent dawn, and sing. Hector hana derum tipi, heu heu haniung kiksuya pikde, ampetu dena derum tipi, hechao hani undu wampikde. Mani, mani pejuda, mani wichoni, mani wakam, mani wakam. Always on still morning air, they come, connected by memories, connected by water.
Good evening. My name is Sue Vento, and I want to begin by thanking each of the artists. This has been an amazing evening, and we thought long and hard how best to celebrate our 25 years, and I can't think of a more perfect evening than the one we've had tonight, with the slight exception of the weather. But otherwise, to each of the artists, thank you so very much. This has been great. I have the great joy of being the chair of the Friends of the Mississippi River Board this year. It's the perfect year to do it because we get to celebrate all year. It's really been a lot of fun. And I have just a few introductions I want to make here. I want to begin by asking those of you who are volunteers for the Friends of the Mississippi River to please stand. So if you're a volunteer with the Friends of the Mississippi River, now's your chance for a little exercise. These folks are so talented and so tireless, so generous with their time. We are truly grateful. And to all of you here tonight who are donors, we couldn't do it without you. You make all the difference in the world, especially this year as we're working toward achieving a capital campaign that's put us to work, but you have made just a tremendous difference, and nonprofits can't do it without their donors and their volunteers, so thank you very much. If you're a donor, I'd like you to please stand. Let's hear it. Okay. Some of you are getting a little bit of a workout here. So if you're a member of the Friends of the Mississippi River Board, please stand. These folks come from a variety of professional backgrounds and from all over the Minra region, and they just do an amazing job helping lead the organization. But none of us, whether we're a donor, a volunteer, or a member of the board, could do it without the Friends of the Mississippi River and its amazing staff. So I'd like the staff of the Friends of the Mississippi River to please stand. We have more staff than that, trust me. Some of them are backstage and out front and doing lots of work, but these are the folks that just help put all of our resources together and make it all happen, and without them we couldn't do it. And our staff is led by a wonderful leader, a guy who makes working with and for the organization, whether we're a donor, a volunteer, or a member of the board, or a member of the staff, both rewarding and fun. So it's my great privilege to introduce to you our Executive Director, Whitney Clark.
Thank you, Sue. Wow, look at all of you out there. In a moment, we're going to share a short 25th anniversary video about Friends of the Mississippi River's work. But before we do, I just want to tell you how honored I am to be here and to look out and see so many of you, partners and friends and donors and advocates. I feel very honored to be with you tonight with a full house of river lovers. It was a much smaller group of river lovers back in the 1970s that, realizing what an amazing asset the Mississippi could be to our community, started organizing to get Congress to designate our reach of the river through the Twin Cities a national park. After about 10 years, they finally accomplished it. In 1988, thanks to the leadership of the late Congressman Bruce Vento and Senator Dave Durenberger, who's with us tonight. Amazing champion for the river for many, many years. Congress did designate our 72-mile stretch of the river a national park, the Mississippi National River and Recreation Area. So thank you, Dave, for all your great work. We're also joined, I'd be remiss in not introducing our superintendent of the national park, Dr. John Amfinson, who's with us tonight. Thank you, John, for a whole career of contributions to the Mississippi River. Some of you may not know that John is among the founding board members of Friends of the Mississippi River. So, as officials began planning for this new national park, local river types realized that even the National Park Service might not be enough to help us protect this river. The river was in trouble. After years of neglect and a long habit of treating the river as a sewer and simply an industrial corridor, the river was polluted, fish and wildlife struggled, and many of the decisions that had a big impact on the river happened without an ethic of stewardship for the river's public values. What was needed, they thought, this band of river lovers, was an organization whose sole mission was to focus the community's latent appreciation for the great river into a deeper sense of place and a commitment to take action to protect and restore it to health. So that was the moment when Friends of the Mississippi River was born 25 years ago. You know, much of the work that we do to conserve and restore and improve the Mississippi River, like pulling buckthorn or writing detailed comments about a proposal or testifying at the legislature, is mundane and unremarkable. But it's rooted in and inspired by the wonder and awe that we feel in the serene and powerful presence of the great river. The river's incredible gift is this vibrant, pulsing, beautiful, complex natural system, intertwined with our human stories going back thousands of years. When we come to the river, we can't help but feel it and care for it and love it. And I believe that was the inspiration that FMR's founders felt when they decided to roll up their sleeves and start an organization dedicated to protecting this great treasure. I think it's also the spark that motivates you, our volunteers and donors and advocates, to give your time and your talents and your resources, as you've done tonight, to this important work. So, on behalf of all of us at FMR, thank you for 25 great years. The Mississippi and our community is healthier for the work we've done together, and we look forward to the next 25 years. So, now, please enjoy this short video.
The Mississippi River is important to me because it is the main artery on what we indigenous people call Nimama Ki, or our Mother Earth. The river begins here in Minnesota and winds its way down and is the main artery on Turtle Island.
I love the river because it sustains us in so many ways, from drinking water to our emotional and mental well-being. It never fails to take my breath away. I love the river because it is, I think, the greatest resource we have here in the Twin Cities, and it provides us recreation, it provides us drinking water, it provides us visual wonders.
The Mississippi River, in our 72 miles, concentrates stories and histories like few places on the entire Mississippi River. We have St. Anthony Falls, the only major waterfall on the river. We have St. Paul, the head of navigation on the Mississippi River, the bookend to New Orleans. We have archaeological sites and geologic formations here that are rare within the entire country. So you put all that together, and this is truly one of the most special places on the whole river.
Our stretch of the Mississippi River is such an amazing treasure. The river changes more in our 72-mile stretch than it does anywhere else along its length, which is why Congress designated it a national park. But when the fate of our new riverfront park was being debated and discussed in 1993, a few people noticed that there were just businesses and government agencies in the room. That's when Friends of the Mississippi River was born. We protect and restore land, protect our riverfront banks and bluffs from overdevelopment, and protect the water of our river, our drinking water, all with the people who were missing in that room, everyday Twin Cityans. Together, we've permanently protected over 2,000 acres, including 7 new public parks and reserves, including Pine Bend Bluff Scientific and Natural Area, which is beloved for its vital bird habitat and amazing river valley views.
We wanted to protect our land, but we didn't know how to go about at it. So we rest easily at night knowing we made the right decision, that it will be preserved.
Today, Pine Bend is one of dozens of Friends of the Mississippi River sites being restored by FMR staff and ecologists who work with thousands of youth, families, and individual volunteers who are willing to get their hands dirty for our local waters and wildlife.
Everything that's on the street in here or on the roof gets into these storm drains and goes directly out to the river. So that's called pollution. It's called non-point source pollution.
FMR introduced us to the river gorge, the regional river gorge. And for me, that's one of my favorite spots to return to. One, because it's very unique. You see many different kinds of small little ecospheres in that tiny area, but also because we did native planting there a couple years in a row and buckthorn removal. And it's nice to return and see the fruits of your labors.
FMR not only protects important places along the Mississippi River, but restores them. Here at the confluence of the Elk and Mississippi Rivers, this amazing 180-acre prairie was soybean fields just a year ago. Now it's full of wildflowers and grasses that support life, build healthy soil, and help keep our waters clean.
When I first started showing up at events for volunteering with Friends of the Mississippi River, I was thinking I would just be doing little things, planting here and pulling weeds there. I got to know the people of FMR, and I understood right away just how involved they were in the local issues, getting advocates out there to talk to our legislators and make a difference.
I used to be a state legislator and know how absolutely essential FMR's advocacy work was in improving the public policy decisions that impact the Mississippi River. The critical area legislation was so important to pass into law because there are threats to the river, and this helped mitigate some of those threats.